You always make me feel like, oh yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone, yeah, you're the reason I'm going out my mind. I just can't stop thinking about you. Take it away, feeling too good to me. Chilling all day, all in your space is where I wanna be. Here in this room, what did you do? I just can't get enough. Too caught up in your love. I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain wants you. I've been hanging by myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you. Yeah, you always make me feel like, yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone, yeah, you're the reason I'm going out my mind. Just stop thinking about you. Just stop thinking about you. All that I crave when you're away, nights are sleepless. Do we need space? Yeah, maybe a break. Boy, you're my weakness. Giving we take, the love that we make, it's my favorite drug. Too caught up in your love. I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain wants you. I've been hanging by myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you. Yeah, you always make me feel like home, yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone, yeah, you're the reason I'm going out my mind. I just, yeah, you always make me feel like home, yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone, yeah, you're the reason I'm going out my mind. Just stop thinking about you. Just stop thinking about you. Stop thinking about you. Just stop you.
NathanIvey.com. Mr. Ivy know the show must go on. As far as Cincinnati, man, I put on. Tunes made another flame beat for me to cook on. Raised dogs, close this, yeah, too strong. Team AI, chop it up at the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cop squats in, listen to the real, jumping like hopscotch. Nobody harder than, oh, no, think not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlatives, keep it locked like them Haitian guys. Put the truth in the airwaves, we talk about it. Brand new like the templates, let's be about it. Who got the info about it? Hey, yo, John will be the rapper, got them jamming when they play him. Staying in my lane, they ain't gotta okay him. Who the host with the scoop? Yeah, they gon' say him. Ivy, so superlative like a bag of Grippos. Show you where the bricks at, Cincinnati Reds at. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at. It's the 5-1-3, yeah, you know the flow. What's the word, Nate? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Broadcasting live from beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio, city of my birth. And is Cincinnati on the come up? 3 reasons why the light at the end of the tunnel is getting closer, in my humble opinion. You may agree or disagree. Plus a smattering of other topics related to people, politics, and pleasure. Of course, this is your morning destination for interesting conversation, brought to you by the good folks over at Cincinnati Digital Media, amplifying Black and brown voices in the greater Cincinnati area and beyond. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Hell, we might catch some longtime listeners who don't get a chance to listen on a regular basis because Cincinnati public schools are closed today because of the weather, and it's just starting to hit. I just looked outside the door, and things are starting to ice over, so be careful out there. You know what I'm saying? No need to try to be texting and driving. Take care of yourself. We'll be here. It ain't that serious, but take care of you first, all right? Good morning to you. It's going to get crazy out there. Yeah, I started to put some of that salt, which I'd rather deal with the ice and the snow than the salt because it just tracks into your car. It stains your clothes, your shoes. You track it into your carpet. I hate all of that, but it is what it is. Mankind doing what we can to try to push back Mother Nature. It is what it is, but all of the CPS children will be home today. That's great. That's great. Enjoy your children today. My son and daughter will be home with us today. That'll be a great thing. I love spending time with them. But maybe we'll get a chance to go out and have some fun in the icicle wars or something. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. The snow, I'll take over the ice any day. Unless I have to, I don't plan on driving nowhere today. Nowhere. It would have to be an emergency. And I can't imagine what that would be because my children will be here today. That would make me leave the house. I went to the store yesterday, got everything we needed. So we're going to just hibernate for the next 24 to 36 to 48 hours until we figure out what's going on with this weather. But hopefully to get a day off tomorrow too, right? If I was a CPS staff or student, I want Friday off too. Whole weekend. And Monday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days off. Yeah, because, a day off don't mean anything. We don't have to worry about student learning, loss of learning anymore. 1 day means nothing, which means that 2 days means nothing, which means that 3 days means nothing, and so on and so forth. So it's a new day. Who Day. Speaking of Who Day, I reached out to Wayne Box Miller. Now, Wayne Box Miller, my former colleague at a commercial radio station. That's where I first met Box. As a matter of fact, he used to do the show right before me. Him and Eric E.T. Thomas was doing the show right before me. So I got a chance to sit in the producer's studio and just kind of learn and listen to that whole thing. I know a lot of people used to love that show. I got a chance to sit there on the inside and watch everything and all the hilarity that would happen like between the commercial breaks. He and E.T. were really nice to me. There was a lot of good. They were really good guys, and it was a lot of fun, man. A lot of people still like that show. But people move on and do different things. And Wayne Box Miller is now the pre and post and halftime announcer for the Cincinnati Bengals. So I reached out to him to come on the show to get his thoughts. He's been doing that for 4 or 5 years. So all through all of the losing and everything, Wayne was doing the pre, halftime, and post radio announcing. So it'll be interesting to get his perspective. I don't think anybody could see this. But, I mean, he's probably watched the game more intently than lots of people here because that was his job, right? So now they're on their way to the Super Bowl. It'll be interesting to get his thoughts about that. That's coming up at 8:30 a.m. approximately, and it's scheduled to be a Zoom-style call. Now, you never know with these kind of things because everybody's got different kind of devices and different levels of internet connectivity. So if that doesn't work, then we'll hook up with just a traditional phone call. And we'll have the conversation that way. But looking forward to it. Again, that's at 8:30 a.m. approximately this morning, right? Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. What's the last 24 hours been like? Hopefully okay. Do you have to work today? Crystal writes, man, they was in Kroger yesterday acting like it was Y2K. I didn't get a chance to go to the grocery store until it was dark outside. So it was after 6, 7, something like that. And it was whole shelves was empty. Cincinnatians don't play, man. Cincinnatians don't play. Whoo, you start talking about inclement weather and ice and snow, and there is a run at the grocery store. They had whole shelves that was completely empty. I wanted to get some greens. I couldn't get no greens. I wanted to get some peppers. Couldn't get no peppers. I was trying to get some arugula to make some salads. The arugula was all gone. I'm like, damn, no arugula? Damn, who are these people? So, I mean, hopefully you got it in yesterday. I had to get some snacks. I had to get, my snacks, you know what I'm saying? Some snacks for the house, which is fruits and berries and nuts and grapes. Oh, man. So, man. Let's go to the phone. See, we got an early call. Let's see who's on the line. Good morning. Welcome.
Hey, it's Tracy. How are you?
Hey, Tracy, I'm great. I'm doing
I
great.
just called to give you a street report. I got out in the streets at 6:45 to go in the snow. I mean, not the snow, the store. I didn't feel like dealing with the crowd yesterday, and I knew there was not going to be anything on the shelves. But man, when I tell you I was in the store for an hour because there was nothing on the shelves, and I'm trying to find something to get to eat. I went in with the intent to go get some stuff just to make a pot of chili. No hamburger anywhere on the shelves. So then I had to switch. I said, well, I'll just make some gumbo. So I got the stuff for the gumbo. And when I went into the store, my car was wet because it was, doing that drizzle rain stuff. But when I came out, it was iced over because the wind is already blowing hard and it's getting nasty out there. So y'all be safe in these streets. And if you have something at home, you might as well just stay in the house instead of going to the store because it's not even worth the trip. I hate that I even spent an hour in the store just walking around in circles. But I did get my wine. I'm glad I got my wine. I do have some. I can take a little bit to the head, but I just wanted to give you a street report.
I appreciate it, Tracy. Take it easy.
And that's out here in Forest Park.
Okay, appreciate it. That's Tracy from Cincinnati. She's out in Forest Park with the street report. If you want to, let's keep the train going. If you want to give us a street report wherever you are in the city, I think it would be useful. I think it'd definitely be useful. Good morning to you. If you want to share your thoughts this morning, you can always give us a call or transform your brain waves into digital talk radio waves. You can use that number as well. If you look at the description box, you've got my text message. You can always text message me. Let's say you got a tip or on a topic or a guest or something that's happening in Cincinnati or around the world. You can text me at 513-953-4224. Again, that's 513-953-4224, and it will go to this phone right here, and I'll respond to you promptly. Good morning to you. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. I went out, so I got it in yesterday. I knew it was going to be icy. I love to walk outside. I got to walk in yesterday at it was dark, so I must have left the house at about 5:45, somewhere around there. Got back about an hour and 5 minutes later. I live in the Clifton area, so I walked downtown via Sycamore, you know what I'm saying, and then walk back. And I swear it felt like the temperature dropped 10 degrees between when I left the house and when I got back home. And plus I was drenched, but I had to get it in, and it felt so great. And then after that, I went to the store, and like I said earlier, it was a lot of stuff that wasn't there. I'm like, I can't get no bell peppers. Damn. I'm just like Tracy. Times like this, you want to make a big pot of something. You know what I'm saying? And I some of the stuff just wasn't there. Whole shelves was gone. I'm like, what's going on here? This stuff is expensive. So there was some things I just couldn't get, but I did pick up some little items here or there to make sure we can get through the month. She said she got the wine. As long as you got that bottle of wine, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. How many people went to the store and got that wine yesterday? You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to be stuck in the house without my good stuff. Not me. Shit, I'm trying to Netflix and chill. So we got a bunch of things going on with this show. This is a little bit different than what you might be accustomed to. And we are kicking off an investment club. And at this point, we just have the idea. And I've got a good direction, meaning that I'm going to call on the experts to help us because I'm no expert when it comes to investing. The door is still open at this point. I am just taking a list of people who may be interested. I've got a meeting set up on Sunday with a CPA. A black CPA, and we'll begin the conversation on what that might look like. Again, I'm going to manage this and put it together, but the experts are going to run it. So we'll work with a lawyer to draft up the contracts so people can feel comfortable about what, and also know what to expect, and with a qualified investment strategist to really make those investments. But if you're interested and you want to be, you want me to contact you as we move forward, you can email me, nathansflow@gmail.com, NATHANSFLOW @gmail.com. And in the subject line, just put investment. You must email. I know some people were text messaging me. Send me the email. Just make it easy for me. That way it's all on my Gmail. Boom, I just put it in a folder. And when the time is to reach out to everybody, I can reach out to you and confirm and let you know what to expect. So, just thought about it. Like, if we started this 4 years ago, damn, we might have a nice little pot somewhere. And then we can make a decision as to what we're going to do with it afterward. Again, I'm new to this kind of stuff. I've never been a part of an investment club before, so I don't know. I'm learning as we go along, and that's why I'm going to rely on the experts. If you've ever been a part of an investment club and perhaps you've got some tips or some best practices or maybe some things you definitely don't want to do, hit me up. Let me know. Save me some time. Save us some time. But there it is, nathansflow@gmail.com. And in the subject line, put investment. Put investment. So is Cincinnati on the come up? Now, let me say this, because a lot of people will be like, oh, he just saying that because the Bengals in the Super Bowl. The Choppers know that I am a very optimistic person about the future of Cincinnati. And the Choppers know that well before, hell, even the NFL season, that has been my view that Cincinnati has the potential in the next 10, 15, 20 years to be one of those cities in the United States, like that city, the kind of city where people want to go and make investments, the kind of city where Black people want to move to and raise a family and start their business. Cincinnati has the potential to be that. Okay, I've seen the seeds. There are many seeds that have been planted in various different, ways in the city of Cincinnati. And when they start to blossom, it'll be a tremendous thing. This is way before the Bengals, but now the Bengals have gone to the Super Bowl. And I read or on their way to the Super Bowl, and I read something I thought was just like, wow, it was mind-blowing. I got this from WCPO. Bengals scored $344 million in free publicity for Cincinnati. $344 million. Now, you got smart people that know how to calculate these kind of things. And this is what they've calculated, that the publicity to this point that the Cincinnati has gotten because of the Bengals is worth about $344 million. That's amazing. And next week, things are going to really start to fire up, right? Because the Super Bowl is like the biggest one-time sporting event in the world. It is bigger than the NBA or MLS or Major League Baseball. It's like they say that's that platform. It's huge. The Super Bowl, right? $344 million to this point. That's what it would have cost to get that kind of publicity, and it's all free because of the Bengals. Isn't that something? And in the article that I read, apparently you got a lot of smart people in the city who are trying to capitalize off of this. You got local businesses, you got some of the folks with these local accelerators. There it is right there, with these local accelerators. And they're trying to come up with ways to capitalize off of this. And, that's what smart people do. If you're a business owner or in any way you feel like you could capitalize off of this, that's what smart people are doing right now. Smart people are trying to figure out whether you sell cookies, so you create Houday cookies, or, whatever it is. Just an example. Look at this. This is the Charlie Winburn ad. Smart. Tying in what's happening with the Bengals with what he's doing on his Sunday morning masterclass. That's what people should be doing. That's what smart money is doing right now, because this could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You never know if the Bengals are ever going to make the Super Bowl. So you got to strike while the iron is hot. Right now. Right now. And they're saying this is just the beginning. From this article that I read in WCPO, and I'll post a link for you right here. Hold on, let me put it in the I'll post a link for you so you can check it out for yourself. I know smart, intelligent people like to read things for themselves, right? I know I do. I can't imagine you being any damn different. There it is. I just posted it for you in all the various places that we're broadcasting the video on right now. Check it out. And you can check it out for yourself, right? $344 million in free publicity for Cincinnati. But I got to say this, though. Like, the people who are going to catch the most money are the people who are already set up with nets to catch the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ain't really created anything or really doing anything that would generate you any income based upon the success of the Bengals, you ain't going to get it directly. Now, they might trickle down somehow, maybe. But I thought that was interesting. $344 million. So you got the Cincinnati USA Regional Chamber. You got Centrifuge, which is a startup accelerator, the Cincinnati Business Committee. They're all developing marketing plans to capitalize on the attention that Cincinnati is getting from the Bengals. And it might work. It might work. They're saying it's been estimated that the Bengals could reach a potential audience of 22.6 billion people with just the media mentions this month. 22.6 billion people with just the media mentions. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. 22.6 billion. So, I mean, these are some of the good effects. Ben Rice, 344 million to who? I thought the same thing, but what they're saying is that the media attention that the Bengals is bringing Cincinnati, if they were paying for it, it would be worth $344 million. That's what they're saying. Now, how's that going to translate into real dollars and cents? Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. It depends. To me, it depends on whether you already have created something that would put you in that lane so that when it starts to rain money, you can catch it. If you're not in that lane or you're not thinking about how to put yourself in that lane, you ain't going to catch it. That's just capitalism. That's just how it works. But whether the Bengals win or lose, just being there, just getting there is going to give Cincinnati all kinds of positive press. And just think about what's been happening. Okay, you had the University of Cincinnati Bearcats that actually was competing for a National Football College Championship. And yeah, they didn't win, but still, they got all of that media attention just by being there, right? Now with the Bengals in the Super Bowl, just by being there. And we don't know if they're going to win or not. If they win, that just ups the ante and the visibility for the city of Cincinnati even more. Again, smart people are trying to figure out how to cash in. Not so smart people are resisting change and they're digging their heels in and complaining about everything and nothing's going to work. No. The city of Cincinnati, I believe, is on the come up. Now, we have to wait and see in multiple levels. A lot of just people that are planting seeds that is making the city, is just giving the city of Cincinnati a different level of visibility. You know what I'm saying? And I think what needs to change as well is the mentality. It's the mentality of Cincinnatians. We gotta stop looking down on ourselves and start thinking who the hell we really are. You know what I'm saying? You know, say it with your chest, with your chin up, that kind of thing. You know, and change the mentality. And perhaps whether it's the Bengals or it was the Bearcats, or now you got whole new city council, whole new leadership in the mayor's office. It just seems like, and that's just a small part of it. There's various actors in the city of Cincinnati planting seeds for a brighter tomorrow. That's just what I think. I want to know if you agree or disagree with that. 513-873-7134. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, see, people are talking about fruit. What is this? Fruits, berries, nuts, and grapes are awesome. Right, they are. Nature's snack. It is. Crystal writes, just got off work, made it home safe. Glad to hear that. How are the streets out there? Terry writes, my clinic planned on Tuesday to work from home today and tomorrow. Yeah, there was a lot of nonprofits or some nonprofits and businesses did that as well. Looks like it was smart. You don't want your people getting a crash just trying to get to work. It ain't that serious, especially when we've learned how to work remotely. Charles writes, no, the Bengals are ahead of schedule. I agree with that. Anthony writes, I was actually surprised that garbage trucks are out. Is that right? Okay. Crystal writes, good morning. I'm working backwards. Let me start at the beginning here. David writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Good morning to you. Joe writes, grand risings, Nate and the Choppers. Good morning to you. Anthony writes, morning, Chop Shops. Good morning to you. Eloise is in the house. She writes, good morning, happy Thursday. If you have to go out, be safe. Yeah, absolutely. I hope my people's okay today. I don't plan on going nowhere. Nowhere, do nothing. Well, I got plenty of things to do, but I don't plan on going anywhere outside the house today. I might go on the porch and like look at the nature, and that's always beautiful to see everything dripped with ice. Let's be honest, that can be a lot of fun. I might take my son and daughter out and go on a cold weather walk. I'm gonna get it in no matter what today. So I'm gonna wait a little bit, let that ice truck get out there, and your boy is getting it in every single day because, and I didn't really talk about this a lot about this yesterday, but of course, yesterday was a 2-year milestone in terms of when I had a heart attack. It was 2 years ago yesterday. It was the Super Bowl. It was the night of Super Bowl when I felt like just incredible pressure in my chest. It was like somebody shot me with an arrow right here, and the pain went straight through the front of my chest, all the way through my back, and it just wouldn't go away. And I'm like, what is this, man? Is this indigestion? Because that never really happens to me. It's like, is this gas? Because I don't really feel that. I'm like, what is this? Is something different. Just couldn't shake it. Didn't know what it was. My daughter was like, go to the doctor, go to the doctor. But I'm thinking, go to the doctor. Oh boy, that's gonna be a hassle, right? Couldn't sleep the whole night. Could not sleep at all. I mean, maybe 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there. The pain was just so unbearable. Every time I woke up, the pain was there. Got to the point where I just had to go to the emergency. And I had to take myself because my son was sick. At that time, my son was very, very sick. So the wifey had to stay with him. I had to do what I had to do. Jumped in an Uber, took myself over to Good Samaritan Hospital, and you could have knocked me over with a feather when they told me I had a 100% blockage. Since then, I've lost, I won't even tell you how many pounds I lost. You wouldn't believe it. I've lost a small child, basically, and just changed everything completely. And I feel great. I'm still here. The cardiologist told me that most people have a relapse within 2 years. They told me this like that day. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I went to the cardiologist a week or two after that or something like that as a follow-up. And they told me like most people have a relapse. And I'm like, really? Why? Because they don't have the discipline. They fall back on their own habits. If they was a smoker, they keep smoking. If they was a drinker, they keep drinking. If they was into junk food, they keep doing junk food. If they wasn't working out, they keep doing it. But I couldn't go out like that. Life is too precious. So I had to change the whole lifestyle, and having wavered ever since then. I mean, I'm back to the old me. This is how I always was anyway. But you let yourself go. You think things will be okay. I'm sharing this to say that don't go out like your boy Nate Ivey. Be better than me. When you feel little pains here or there, or your wifey or your husband's telling you something, listen to him. Listen to him. And just cut back and doing things in moderation, and you'll be okay, hopefully. But that heart attack is real. It is taking people out, and in particular, it's taking Black people out. Heart disease is one of the number one killers, and it's because of the food and the lifestyle. That's what it was for me. It wasn't genetic. It wasn't hereditary, anything like that. It was simply lifestyle. Simply lifestyle. And as I've said before, life is so precious that I'm not going to leave this life over no damn cheeseburger. I'm not going to leave this life over Doritos, over beer, over alcohol. It ain't that serious. It's not that serious at all, man. It's not. So you can always change. You can always start today or tomorrow. And don't let anybody tell you can't. You know what I'm saying? You could definitely do it. I did it. Jerome writes, good morning, Nathan Choppers. Good morning to you. Regina writes, good morning, be safe. Absolutely. Ayana's in the house. She writes, good morning, Nathan, and everyone. Good morning to you. Deshauna writes, good morning, Nathan and all. Please pray for the mail carrier safety. They are making us work in this mess. I also pray for everyone else safety as well. Making you work? I thought it was rain, sleet, ice, snow, tornado, tsunami. No matter what, the mail gets delivered, I thought. But I certainly will. I want you to be safe out there. I can only imagine what it's like, because y'all got to get out there, and the streets may not have been, treated. People may not get a chance to deal with their driveway, so most definitely hope you're safe today. Kelly writes, good morning. Kevin writes, morning, Choppers. If you are getting the bag, share your knowledge with the younger ones around you. They may not know how to get it. Personal recent experience. Okay. Hold on. I'm texting Wayne Box Miller. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry to my speaker people and my tune-in people because you don't have the benefit of seeing the visual. But I'm texting Wayne Box Miller. He was scheduled to give us a Zoom call at about 8:30, so about 4 minutes over. But he's trying to log in right now. Now, if the Zoom style doesn't work, then as I said, we'll go old school with it, and it'll just be a traditional phone call. But I'm curious to see to get his thoughts. I'm sure that's super exciting to be like an announcer for the Bengals through all of the bad years, the bad seasons, the lost games, the missed opportunities, and then to watch them turn it around in the span of just a couple of years. Some might say 1 year. So hopefully we can get that. All right. Okay, he's calling in right now. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, brother. How are you, man? Sorry about it. I don't know if it's the power outage or what, but it's not connecting on the laptop.
It's all good, Wayne. How you doing, man? It's been a minute, bro.
Good, man. How you doing, first and foremost? How's your health?
I was just talking about that. I'm healthier than ever, man. I'm healthier than ever, feeling great. Absolutely. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How about yourself, man?
I'm blessed, man. Just enjoying this improbable run by the Cincinnati Bengals. I think we all are. And, man, Super Bowl. It sounds surreal to say it, but they're there. Third time.
It does. And I told the audience, I'm like, I really want to hear what Wayne has to say because, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're the radio announcer for the pre, halftime, and post for the Bengals. Is that correct, or is there a better way of saying it?
No, that's exactly right. So our network probably has about 30 radio stations between Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, and yep. So we work it out. It's just for me, man. I've been around the sports talk radio landscape and sports for a long time, and I actually went to the last Super Bowl in Miami. So to have another opportunity to go to a second Super Bowl. If indeed I go with the team, will be an incredible experience. But just to be part of it, man, I mean, I think, as you know, you've interviewed and had contact with some really historic and landmark people and scenarios, man. And it's just something you just never forget.
Yeah. And then for you were there and have been close and watching the team and announcing through all the bad years. Nobody could see this coming, but what's it like, to go from, what was it, 5 wins, four wins last year to now in the Super Bowl?
And that's why I use the word improbable, because you go 2-14, 4-12, and the next thing you know, you're in the Super Bowl representing the AFC. And what's notable about this run, you beat the Steelers twice, the Ravens twice, the Raiders twice, and the Chiefs twice on this journey. So you can throw the word lucky out. You can throw the word out, just happenstance. This is a rock-solid football team that beat people and beat them again to put away any question about the validity of their belonging there.
Yeah, I agree. I know a lot of people were talking about, like, Lamar Jackson was injured or this team had injuries, but everybody has injuries. The Bengals beat the teams that were in front of them, and they beat the teams they had to beat to get to where they are, right? That's how I look at it.
Plain and simple. It's plain and simple. Nobody made allowances. Larry Ogunjobi went down before they got in the playoffs. So nobody would have said anything had they lost about their run stuffer, a guy who I think has held down the defensive line in a just impressive way. Injuries are part of football, and that's why a lot of times you see people, or I shouldn't say people, fans, get upset if a team drafts, say, a linebacker and you've got a linebacker already. Well, why did you draft another linebacker? With depth, you got to have depth because injuries are a part of the game. So one guy goes out, Ogunjobi goes out, B.J. Hill steps in. He's the guy that comes up with the big interception on Pat Mahomes. So that right there proves the value of drafting multiple players in one particular position.
Mm-hmm. So in your opinion, Wayne, again, you're closer than most people are. What changed? Is it Zach Taylor, the coach? You know, a lot of people are like QB focused, like whoever the quarterback is gets way more love and credit than they deserve. Is it Joe Burrow? But what makes this team so special in your opinion?
And this answer probably gonna shock you. But Mike Brown made this team more special because he opened his pocketbook. And, you know, that was the biggest knock on Mike Brown, was that he wouldn't spend money. He didn't want a winning team. All he cared about was profit, profit, profit. So they go out and get Trey Hendrickson, who came on like gangbusters this year. They went out and got Chidobe Awuzie, played lockdown corner this year. You know, they went out and got Riley Reef, you know, a veteran tackle to help Joe Burrow. So that was Mike Brown opening up the pocketbook saying, let's get the players in here. Larry Ogunjobi, a one-year deal. But that's the key. I mean, if you want to point to anything and say, without those players, you're not in the Super Bowl. You know, Joe Burrow is a phenom. We're lucky. I think we could very well have the next Tom Brady. But you think about what this defense has done and how they locked down Kansas City twice in the second half with no touchdowns. I mean, it's just an incredible effort on behalf of the defense. But Von Bell in that group, there are a lot of free agents that Mike Brown said, I'll pay to bring them in here.
Yeah, I can get with that. It does seem like, and you know, I'll be honest with you, I really wasn't watching the Bengals because I just didn't have any confidence in them, and it felt like there was always going to slip on a banana peel. And then I started watching some of the games, like game one, and I just noticed a different energy. It was just something different about them, like just the way that they ran on and off the field, the way they dealt with, you know, not converting on third down, the way they dealt with just the game. It just seemed like there was something different. And then little by little, and again, it was a rocky up and down. They lost some games that people think they probably should have won, but it looks like there was something different to them.
Well, I think the number one difference is there is a authentic chemistry on this team, Nathan. These guys truly like each other. I mean, you can go all the way back to sports when we played at whatever level we played. When you like the guys you're playing with, the game is more fun. Even if you lose with guys that you like, the game is more fun because you're able to come back and say to each other, man, we got to get that dub next week, or tomorrow we got to come back and bounce back. From training camp, these guys, one after another, consistently said, we really like each other. We're rooting for each other. I mean, you got one wide receiver who's battling another wide receiver for a position, and yet they're saying, oh, I hope he does well, man. I'm rooting for him. Or guys on defense going up against guys on offense, and it was very contested in training camp. They were getting after each other, but it was all because they wanted to make each other better. And that result played out on the field. And you're right. When they came off the field on maybe not converting the third down or maybe not getting a stop, the other guys were there to pick them up and say, hey, we still got this. And they stayed the course, and it's paid dividends.
Yeah, with Joe Burrow, I heard all the great things about him. But for me, I was like, well, I got to see what he does in a pressure situation. When the pressure is on and it's money time. And to this point, he's come through. He's come through with the throws. I mean, nobody's perfect, but it seems like he's one of those athletes that can, like, got sacked 9 times, didn't turn the ball over, didn't, try to do what you see other NFL quarterbacks do and try to make a play. We've seen this with other, and it ends up being in a turnover. Just got right back up and went at it again. He seems like he's got the real deal because they're all athletes. They're all talented. I think the difference is their mentality. Right? What's between the ears.
You're exactly right, Nathan. That is the differentiator because everybody's going to pass the eye test and go through the litany of physical exercises at the combine and all that. But when you get to a place where guys really have a mental understanding of what they need to do or what needs to be done, he's just that guy, man. I mean, I remember when he came last year, his first year, and threw an interception. He went across the field, not across the field, across the line of scrimmage to the veteran Josh Bynes and said, "What did I do wrong? What did you see there that I could correct?" And Josh Bynes, an NFL veteran, said, "Man, I've never had a quarterback come to me and ask that kind of question, let alone a rookie." But his cerebral approach to the game is that I want to know every aspect of this game. And there's the infamous live mic where he said, "You can't zero blitz me against Jacksonville." I mean, he meant that. He understands the other team's defense so well that he understands if you try to do this, I've already got an answer for that. And if you try to make this adjustment, I'm going to do that. And I think the biggest thing I could say about him that I like, he doesn't have a favorite receiver. A lot of people may think it's Jamar Chase, but whatever you give him, he's going to take. If it's Tyler Boyd this week making 5 or 6 catches, it's his week. If it's T. Higgins getting 7 or 8 catches, it's his week. If it's Jamar Chase beating coverage, C.J. Uzomah made a big play in the Jacksonville game, and you got Joe Mixon, who is running the ball as well as he's had since he's been here. They just have the weapons, but more so the guys that say, "I'm content if it's not my week to get the touches."
Right. The Bengals definitely got weapons on offense with a capital, all caps, everything. Like all those dudes you just mentioned is goats, baby goats in a position. And let's talk about Jamar Chase, man. Sometimes you can just see an athlete and you can just see it. And with him, you could just see it. Like he was just born, just a gifted athlete, just gifted. And I don't know if he'll be one of the all-time greats because you never know with injuries and things like that, but he's off to a hell of a start right now. I can see him being a dog for a long time.
Yeah, one of the telling things about Jamar Chase when he was drafted, we did a press conference with Joe Burrow, and I asked Joe Burrow, aside from all the physical gifts that God blessed him with, what don't we know about Jamar Chase? He said he's one of the smartest football guys I know. He is really cerebral about the game, and if you read any of his post-game comments along the line this season, you would see where not only does he study film, but he's able to look at tendencies. Even a couple of veterans, I mean, the big play he had against Baltimore, he said, "Hey, I studied Marlon Humphreys, and I know that he kind of makes this move or he tends to lean this way. So I wanted to set him up so I could get him to commit and then make my move." I mean, rookies don't say that, so he just has that mind for football. And I think the other thing is there could be a new trend. The NFL is trendy. So when you look at the wide receivers that the Chiefs have with the very small guys, Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman and those guys, they're short, they're fast, they're sprinters. Well, now you've got a Deebo Samuel and you've got a Jamar Chase, where their lower bodies are more like running backs. And so getting a guy with a running back frame in an open field against defensive backs is a mismatch. And if you look at how many broken tackles he had this year from, secondary guys trying to wrap him up, I mean, the guy's lower body is thick, it's solid, and he has the speed and power to go with it.
I got some questions from the audience. Daryl wants to know, how much do you think, he writes, ask Box how much you think Marvin contributed to the team's current success.
I think Marvin should get some credit for stabilizing the franchise, no question about it. And some of these guys, Sam Hubbard, Jesse Bates, Trey Hopkins, a lot of these guys are guys that Marvin brought in. But I think you can't take away anything from what Zach Taylor has done, because the last 3 years, Zach Taylor has drafted the players or helped to bring in the free agents like Von Bell. And as I said earlier, Trey Hendrickson, he drafted Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt. He brought these guys in, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. So I think it's a combination, but I think you can't take the shine away from Zach Taylor and what he's done, because when you're in your third year, it's pretty much your team. And you look at the number of guys that are on this roster that are part of the previous coaching staff led by Coach Marvin Lewis. there's not a lot of guys left. So, I mean, again, I always think Marvin Lewis should deserve credit because when he came here, he stabilized the franchise, took them to the next level, and sustained that. And, you know, you look at the things that are going on, you know, in the NFL, Marvin Lewis had a nice run here, and he'll be the first to tell you, unfortunately, he just didn't get it done. And football is about winning. So is any sport for that matter.
Yeah, it's all the building blocks. It's just like with the Golden State Warriors, right? You had Mark Jackson.
Yeah,
He took the
that's
team
a
so
great
far.
point. Great
Steve
point.
Kerr comes in. Sometimes new energy, a new perspective can just be, you know, that X factor, that extra ingredient that you need. So, yeah, I think I agree with that. You know, you got to give Marvin his props, but, you know, you got to give Zach Taylor most of it because he's the man doing it right now.
Yeah,
People are
and he
saying
made decisions on the players, who to keep. And, you know, he looked at that roster and said, I'm keeping these guys and I'm bringing in my guys. And if you really study what Zach has done in terms of the players that he's brought in or drafted, all of them almost have a singular, unique trait, and they were either captains or co-captains of their team because he wanted to bring in guys who were leaders, who understood what leadership was about. So I think that's another credit to Zach that, you know, when he drafted, a lot of these guys were captains and co-captains of their teams, and that pays dividends as well.
Yeah. Ronald writes, Marvin Lewis turned the ship around but couldn't bring it home. I think that's a good way of putting it. I can get with that.
I mean, again, yeah, and I like the relationship between Marvin and Mike Brown because if you really think about it, how many places will allow the outgoing coach to have an exit press conference at their facility? And because the relationship was rock solid and they came to that understanding that, hey, you had a great run, you did a lot of good for us, but we've got to try something else, and that's as fair can be.
Which is you know, I did want to bring this up. That's a good little quick segue. I mean, Mike Brown stuck with Marvin Lewis, black head coach, for what, 14 seasons, 15 seasons? And
Yep.
right now we're having, even through losing seasons, even when like local media was like, hey, get rid of Marvin Lewis.
Right.
He stood with him. He stood with him.
Yeah.
And currently we're having a conversation right now with Blind Forest and talking about, you know, the plight of black head coaches. And any thought, are you aware of what's going on in that conversation and some of the allegations about the Miami Dolphins,
you know,
losing teams,
yeah,
losing games on purpose just to try to get a high draft pick?
Man, if any of that proves to be true, that's just unbelievable, man. I mean, that this would happen. I think the bigger issue is Bill Belichick sending a text message. It looks like Brian Flores screenshotted that, and I've seen some of it on social media. However, I'm not one to jump on social media as being authentic versus someone superimposing conversations on text messages. I'll wait until it's validated. But if indeed it is true, that is a sad commentary for ownership in the NFL. And it really is disappointing, man, to look at 32 teams and see one coach of color, that's Mike Tomlin. Again, the AFC North, the long-running tenure of Marvin Lewis, who had 16 seasons, and now Mike Tomlin, who's coaching and has coached, and ironically, the first coach in NFL history to go this long and never have a losing season,
right,
which is an NFL record. These two franchises have allowed these coaches of color the opportunity to win and succeed over a long period of time. And for any of us, that's all you can ask.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be big. Some people are saying that if the owner of the Miami Dolphins did in fact do that he should lose his franchise because it basically it's against the spirit of the game. And I can see that. I mean, I guess it'll be up to the NFL owners to make that decision, but I can see that. You know, if I was a coach, I just can't see putting another man's life at risk and we ain't trying to win. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't do that. You know, just like Brian Flores. I just couldn't go out here and lie to you and then you putting your life on the line, possibly getting CTE or some other traumatic injury for the rest of your life, and we're not even trying to win. You know, to me, you go hard. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. It should be done naturally, right? That's just how I look at it.
Right.
And Hugh Jackson came out and said the same thing happened in Cleveland. They asked him to lose games to get a high draft pick.
Right. Football is a sport that you don't go out there and half do it. You might jog back down the court in basketball. If Steph Curry has a ball and you're jogging down court, I mean, you might think, well, Steph's going to pull up from 30, 35 anyway. But in football, when you have 11 moving parts and all of them are reliant upon each other, man, E.T. and I did a show together for 8 years, and E.T. would always say, if you want to get hurt, go have speed out there when everybody's going full speed and somebody's going to truck you, run you over, fall on you, something. Normal amount of injuries are going to happen because football is such a violent, high-impact game, but it's going to be even more so if you're out there dogging it.
Yeah. I just saw E.T. in passing about a week ago. I was picking up my daughter over at Walnut Hills, and he was walking out. I don't know if he works there or what the deal is. I didn't get a chance to talk to him.
E.T. is the track coach.
He's a track coach? Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he just shared that with me a couple of weeks ago, and I'm super happy for him because a lot of people don't know he was a world-class sprinter at Pasadena Junior College, and then from there he went to Tulane where the Bengals drafted him in the second round. But E.T. was one of the early 4.3, 4.34 guys in the NFL. So track is something he's always loved.
Speaking of Wayne Box Miller, so what will you be traveling with the team to the Super Bowl? I think you kind of mentioned that you're not aware of it yet, but will you be doing play-by-play here locally? How does that work?
I'm gonna be there in mind, body, and spirit, and 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But my optimism is that I will be there. Either way, I'll be part of the broadcast. I mean, historic for me to have the opportunity to be part of a broadcast team for a Super Bowl. I mean, I'm still kind of in a surreal realm right now, Nathan, because again, you think back to the days of the primetime sports show, and you coming on right after us. You were always in the studio waiting on us, and we were always coming in behind Big Daddy, who would be absolutely ecstatic right now. Those are the moments you kind of smile and laugh, and you and I know Big Daddy would be just all over the radio about the Bengals right now, and it's just great for the city, man. And what I appreciate, I was really happy to see Zach Taylor out at game time, delivering a game ball fresh off the AFC Championship. I thought, again, spoke volumes to where this franchise is and how they're trying to be inclusive. I mean, Black-owned outerwear means got the partnership with them, and he's doing a phenomenal job with the apparel. People are coming from all over to his place of business, but this is how it works and how it's a win-win for everybody when you approach it the way they've done.
Box, I've been saying the same thing for weeks, man. Their partnership with Black-owned is a win-win. It's great for Means and his crew, and it's great for the image of the Bengals and the way people perceive them, the way people look at them. I think it's a great thing. I couldn't be happier for Means. I don't know him like that, but from afar, I'm very happy for him. And happy for what that means for the city and other entrepreneurs in their cities, right? Because there might be somewhere in St. Louis or another NFL team, and they might get a partnership. So who knows? Black-owned might get a partnership with the NFL. That would be dope for them. But I think that's a great look.
Goodness. It is Nathan, I get excited at the possibility of the simplicity of it all. You sit down and meet. You figure something out. I know Mortar, I believe, was involved in this coming together. But you sit down and you figure it out, and as you said, you make it a win-win for everybody. Think about the people who now know that there's this business and he has a coffee shop next to it, and that this is a thriving business, downtown Cincinnati, getting the support of one of the major entities in the city. Why can't somebody else do that? I know the Reds are doing a partnership, I think, with Originalities, but other corporations, I mean, I know that there are partnerships going all over the place. I know Fifth Third has a partnership with the Brian Washington Company. They do art, interaction, and experiences to relate to customers. I mean, it's just the opportunity for corporations to partner in a meaningful way. When I say meaningful, the Cincinnati Bengals and Black-owned is a meaningful partnership where there is evidence of profitability for both.
Absolutely. It just looks cool. It just, instead of the
Yes,
Bengals
yes.
looking dated and backwards and not with it, they seem like they're right here, right now with what things are going on, especially after the social unrest, the summer of social unrest we had last year when the whole country was looking for change. I just thought it was a great look. It was a really,
Yeah,
really
and
good
even
look.
Joe Burrow stepped forward with that. And that one thing I love about Joe Burrow, man, is he has a sense of awareness. When he came here, I asked him about cultural relevance being in LSU, and the way he spoke about just being aware of culture, and not just his culture, but the culture of the guys on the team. He said, I learned from guys from Chicago. I learned from guys from the boot, Louisiana. And he just was aware. And then you see him at a press conference with a black-owned jacket on. And then you see him at a press conference with a pair of sunglasses that, from my understanding, were created by a black eyewear company. He is not afraid to reach across the aisle and say, hey, plain and simple, if it looks good or it feels good, I don't care of the origin. I'm just going to support it, wear it. And he's going on to say that people send him stuff all the time, and he simply, if he likes it, he wears it. That's kind of his thing, not, who are they and what race are they or whatever. That's just a great feeling. And like you said, think about people all over the world, because this is a global sport now, that see him wearing a black-owned jacket or eyewear from somebody and think, I want that. And it doesn't cost anybody anything.
Hmm. Right. And you're lifting up this black-owned brand. I mean, you're talking about millions of dollars worth of free ad and promotional, opportunities. So I just think it's great. So
Yeah, and even with him stepping up to the microphone to announce the second draft pick last year in Cleveland. I mean, how big was that?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. That was huge. Um, Primetime Sports Show. I know people still bring it up to you, man. I think people miss that show, don't they?
Yeah, I tell you what, man, EP and I kind of laugh about that a lot because we still talk, all the time. But you're right, man. I mean, I say that with all humility, man, that it was an iconic platform that we had to talk sports in a way that was uniquely ours, very urban, very real. We understood the perspective of black athletes. We didn't set out to vilify anybody in that manner. And I think whenever there was some controversy or something happening, we were able to look at it through a different lens. And our audience, you guys helped us understand even more perspectives. And I think even dating back to that, how Marvin Lewis would call in arbitrarily and some of the other coaches. And there's no doubt in my mind Zach Taylor would be doing the same thing. But, man, I miss Bootsy's opening more than anything, if you want to be honest about it. I mean, Bootsy had I got more people talking about Bootsy's opening to our show in the 527 feeling, because people would always say, hey, what's a 527 feeling? We would tell them what it was, and they're like, oh, okay, I get it. But, man, the clubhouse, as we named it, and everybody had a locker and those things, man, it was really an enjoyable run. We won awards. We were acknowledged. But it really was because of the community of listeners and callers, man, that made it special.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, sometimes you don't know what you have until it's not there anymore. And I just think that the Primetime Sports Show, if you look at what's happening now with the podcast landscape, everybody, all these former and current athletes are doing what you guys was doing 10, 15 years ago, right? Talking sports, creating their own media. Now that's the rage. But back then, I just felt like I always thought it was dope. I always knew, like, okay, this is something special.
Thank you, man. The
world didn't necessarily understand that, right? And even now, sometimes I was telling the audience before you got on, like I got a chance to just sit there in the producer's box and just listen, right? Because I came on after you, which I always took. Like, I had to step my game up because I couldn't come in on and be whack after the Primetime Sports Show. I had to make sure I was on point, right? And it was just a lot of fun, man. There's a lot of good memories. A lot of good memories.
Yeah. Well, Nathan, to your credit, and I say this all the time to people, you had your own approach, man. And I think that's the uniqueness of radio or media when you have some say-so, is that make it yours, put your stamp on it. You brought hip hop culture into talk conversation, which, Again, it could have happened somewhere else. I just wasn't aware of it. But I think that was the first time where somebody took a platform and said, we have a voice, and I don't think the voice has been amplified enough. So I'm going to take that approach. I mean, you could have very easily come in with a cookie cutter approach, but I think that authenticity that you had is why you still have the sustainability now.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Most def. I did it with intentionality. You got to bring something new to the game. What's your speaking of game? What's your prediction for the Super Bowl?
Man, I'm so biased, but I also think my bias is based in fact. I mean, I think this team is better than people think they are. And I'm not going to say exclusively comparing them to the 90 Reds, who nobody thought would beat the Oakland A's. But I think this team has a lot of those kind of similar elements in that nobody thinks that they're going to beat the Chiefs at home. They beat them at home. Nobody thinks they're going to beat the Titans in Tennessee. They beat them in Tennessee. And so they just continue to win, and they win in many ways. They win offensively, they win defensively, they win special teams. They just find ways to win. And I think when you look at this team, many people are probably discounting the fact that this team is better than you think, and they've got some guys on this team that are really good. I mean, Joe Mixon is a Pro Bowler. You've got some other guys on the defense that are Pro Bowlers, and, Trey Hendrickson and guys like that. So they aren't slouches, but I think they just aren't the household name, the marquee names like, Dallas and Kansas City and wherever Tom Brady plays and things of that nature. So this team is good. I think they will tell you right out of the gate, they've got to get somebody or several somebodies on Aaron Donald. They've got to be watching Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham. But I'll turn around and say this. You got to get somebody on Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Mixon. And hopefully C.J. Uzomah will be cleared to play. But you've got to account for those guys as well. So I think that this team believes in themselves, Nathan, to a point that there is no doubt in their mind that they believe that they can finish the job. And they don't care what you think, what I think. Their mindset is we are going to win this game. Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator, much maligned those first couple of years. I mean, this guy manhandled Kansas City twice in the second half, shut down Tennessee, shut down the Raiders, and, he did it at home and on the road. So what else do you want him to do? I can guarantee you they're going to have a game plan for that offense. You got Joe Burrow, and anytime you got Joe Burrow, you've got a chance. And I would take him over Matthew Stafford any day because while people are raving about, they got Matthew Stafford now, and that was the missing piece, Jared Goff got them to the Super Bowl. So unless Matthew Stafford wins the Super Bowl, he really hasn't improved the quarterback position for them. And I don't know that if you put him up against Joe Burrow in terms of having to deliver a big win, I like my chances with Cincinnati's number 9.
Yeah, same here. One name we haven't mentioned, and we've been remiss in our duty if we don't, is the kicker, Evan McPherson. It could come down to him.
Money Mac,
right? I mean, again, everybody's an athlete, everybody's talented in that level, but between his ears, dude is something different. That's the only way you can be that precise in those moments. It's between the ears.
Nathan, it's funny you brought it up because last week or so, there were guys on the Bengals, the veterans said when he got here, they purposely tried to rattle his cage mentally. They started to mess with him and teasing him or just doing different things to him. And they said the guy just kind of walked right by him like, ho-hum, oh well, boom, kick in practice, boom, 60 yards in practice. They try to rattle him again and do different things. And they said they realized at that point, this guy is different. And credit Darren Simmons for being an advocate of him. And actually, man, a lot of people may not know this former Bengal kicker, Shane Graham, who was coaching, I believe, down at Florida when he was there, told Darren Simmons, like, this guy is the real deal. And he hasn't proved anyone wrong yet.
Well, Box, thank you for your time this morning, brother. I appreciate you, man, and good luck with everything. And you know, we're looking forward to it. We'll all be watching the Super Bowl. Hopefully they come through with a win.
All right, man. And if you can't watch, listen to us and just check it out because we're going to have a great broadcast. I can tell you that.
Okay. Well, what time's the broadcast start on Super Bowl Sunday?
The game is at 6, I believe. So we'll probably be on around 4:30. And I'm saying probably because I don't know if this is going to be an extended version of our countdown to kickoff show or if it's going to stay in the same format. So again, everybody's working out the logistics of what a quote unquote Super Bowl broadcast is going to look like. So it may be slightly altered, but I'll definitely have that posted on social media as I normally do. So to let people know so they can tune in.
And where exactly can people listen? What station on the radio dial?
So you can go, it'll be ESPN 1530, 700 WLW and WEBN all carry the games at the same time. So I think as long as there's not a commitment to one of the other sports like UK and iHeart have a contract, but I think Super Bowl Sunday, everybody gets bumped. So typically we would do all 3 stations in the simulcast and carry the game.
Okay. Well, Wayne, man, thanks for your time this morning, brother, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, most definitely. That's Wayne Box Miller. Lots of fun, man. Takes me back. Nothing but great memories. From my time in commercial radio. And like I said, I had the catbird seat. I got a chance to sit there and just watch. And I soaked it all in. Like, I'm one of those dudes that can recognize a moment and I just soak it all in. I try to experience the moment. So I thought they had something very special with the Primetime Sports Show. And as I told him, you know, it was ahead of its time. Like now all these athletes are doing shows. They're, you know, former athletes doing shows. Now that's like obligatory now. You know what I'm saying? Get a big name in the sports world, do a podcast. They were doing it. We had it here in Cincinnati. And what I'll say again is that little radio station had superlative talent. And sometimes you just don't know. You can have gold in your hand and don't even realize it. And it is what it is. But that's great. That's great. Good conversation. Talk about everything from the X's and O's, just a little bit. You know, the Bengals commitment and just sports franchises locally working with these Black-owned brands, right? And he even talked about FC Cincinnati, working with, a local T-shirt, Black-owned brand, which is great. I love it. Originalities, I love it. I think I just very happy. I think it's exactly what needs to be happening in very substantial ways, right? In ways that will benefit these Black-owned brands and lift them up. And then, like I said, you can't tell me that the relationship that they have with Black-owned don't make the Bengals a little bit more cooler, a little bit more relevant. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay, they understand what time it is. I get that. So props to everybody. And that's part of the reason why I will continue to say that Cincinnati is on the come up. But I'll continue this conversation on the other side. I got to take a quick break. We'll also get a word in from our sponsor. This is the Nathan Ivey Show. I'm live, local, and vocal. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
Jag minns ju den tid du gav mig livebilder, jo. Nu vill jag kunna ge tillbaka allt jag inte kunna ge förut. Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för dig, baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger av min tid och jag vill ha det. Du får mig känna safety. Det kan nog leda, baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig. Aldrig. Kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än dig. Aldrig. Kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än dig. Varje gång jag bak på dig, jag tänker vilket kap jag har gjort. Jag skulle gå tillbaka i tid, göra om allt igen och förstå. Ser det som ett allt, det är dig jag vill wipa. De här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. på det jag lägger all min tid. Jag vill ha det. Du får mig känna safety. Vi kan nog det baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig. Aldrig. Kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än det. Aldrig. Kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än dig. Jag vet det bara life om igen. Jag vet det bara ta sin tid. Jag vet det bara life om igen och stay with me. Jag vet det bara life om igen. Jag vet det bara ta sin tid. Jag vet det bara life om igen och stay with me.
Baby, look what the hole that I am in. I try not to think too much about what might have been. How nice if I just could let you in. I know you could be my remedy. How long will you keep trying? I know it's not, babe, it's not easy. I guess deep down inside, I knew you could be my remedy.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Live, local, and vocal. It's the Nathan Ivey Show. Your morning destination for interesting conversation. Don't forget, today's show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Renew Community Church. They offer a Sunday morning masterclass at 11:45 a.m. You can watch it live on Facebook at facebook.com/Cincy Renew. That's CINCI Renew. You can also tap in on YouTube at Renew Community Church live stream. The topic for this Sunday's conversation: Bengals win. So when will you start winning for you? Learn how to stop resisting self, people, and places and things. Then you win. You can tap in again on Sunday at 11:45 a.m. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Let's get straight back to it. 513-873-7134 if you'd like to share your thoughts this morning. I talked about Brian Flores yesterday. Just to give you an update, another former black head coach has come forward in the last 24 hours, Hugh Jackson, who used to be, I think he was the offensive coordinator for the Bengals under Marvin Lewis for a short time. Then he went to Cleveland. And he came out and said that when he was with Cleveland, he was offered money to lose games by the leadership. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is what we're doing now? And that's so as to give credence to what Brian Flores, who has a lawsuit against the NFL alleging discrimination in their hiring practices in at least 3 NFL teams. This could turn into a class action lawsuit if it meets the standards, some legal standards. I was watching an interview, and the person doing the interview asked Hugh Jackson, would he join the class action lawsuit if it satisfies these legal standards? He said unapologetically, unequivocally, yes, I would. So this could have a snowball effect. And where could it go? Well, I mean, for me, I think what the NFL needs to do, it's all about ownership, is they need a majority owned NFL team. It could be the Denver Broncos that are up for sale right now, $4 billion, maybe a little bit more. Or if there are some moves that are made against the owner of the Miami Dolphins, who within the last 24 hours has now put out some public statements saying basically, wait a minute, you got to hear my side of the story. I've seen some sports shows where the announcers are saying that if this is true, that he should lose his franchise because he's working against the spirit of the game. So let's wait and see what happens. That could happen. Now, that would be interesting. That would be real change for the NFL, but we shall see. We shall see. Politically Petty writes, Mr. Primetime Sports Show, that was the best of times. We used to have so much fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I used to get there early because that's what I do. I used to get there early and just sit there and just listen to them. And I appreciate the love from Box. I mean, that was, that was my approach. You know, I was all about that hip hop swagger. That's what I was into. That's what was informing my creativity. So that's what I gave. And it is what it is. Nat Rice, update on Uzama. I missed that. Ronald Rice, Mcpherson is probably as good at pool and darts too. He could be. Could be. Cincinnati on the map. Yeah, Cincinnati is on the come up. Box mentioned Mortar, and I look at Mortar as one of those entities that are planting seeds for a brighter tomorrow. I don't know if y'all pay attention, because I pay attention to all this stuff, but them brothers over there doing great work, and they're expanding. They're expanding into other cities, but they originally are started here in the city of Cincinnati, which I think is just another good thing for the city of Cincinnati, and also helping entrepreneurs here to build out their ideas and to move from an idea to business, which, you know, is great. It's 100% great. I'll say it again. I mean, when it's time to criticize the city and the moves, everybody knows I'm at the top of the list. I'm in the front of the line. But the more I look at the city, I just see that there's a good possibility that there's the foundation. It's not completely set, but there's a good foundation that's being set by a lot of good people in the city that could change the way that we think about the city, what the city does for us. And that would include what's happening in local politics. I still remain optimistic. Now, I know that, you know, what's the dude's name? Jason Williams. I know he is blaming the new council and the mayor for everything. A police recruit got hurt somehow. I don't know the details. And I read his article in which he was blaming city council and the mayor because they didn't talk about him enough. And I'm like, what's that supposed to do? So putting the criticism aside, you know, this new city council and new mayor still have a lot of great potential. They got a lot of great potential to bring equity, policy, and tangibles to those that need it. And they're not going to get there if we don't push them. And there are people out there prepared to push them. So let's see. Let's see. You know, I say, like, let's be on the side of positivity and trying to change things in a positive way. That's what I say. But what do you say? 513-873-7134. Our local talk show flows always rocked. Had a good thing. Keisha Rice agreed. Yeah. And you know what she's doing with FC Cincinnati. I just love it. I just love to see my people shining, you know, taking the necessary steps toward a better, brighter tomorrow. Like I said, for us to reach what I have in mind for the city, there's still a long tunnel, but it's not as long as it used to be. And I think that, like with this thing with the Bengals, like if you own any kind of business, if any kind of thing you can do, you should be thinking about how you can parlay this moment into something good for your business or your idea or whatever else. I think that would be dope. I think that's what time it is, trying to figure out how we capitalize off this moment. Now, I do have some updates. It looks like the Super Bowl party is not going to happen at but at Paul Brown Stadium. And it's not because of Hamilton County or the city. The NFL has said no to it. And I thought it was interesting. Apparently, the NFL doesn't want, and I don't understand how this would be any different than at a bar. Like, if you go to a bar here in the city of Cincinnati, they're going to show the Super Bowl on their television screen. Why would that be any different to show the Super Bowl at Paul Brown Stadium? And I don't get it. I mean, all you got to do is tap the cable wire in, if that's even possible. I don't know these things from a technical standpoint, but it seems feasible. You got a big ass screen, put cable TV on there, get a Fire Stick, and just play the Super Bowl. But apparently it's not going to happen because the NFL came in and said no to it, basically. And it has something to do with the broadcasting rights of the game itself. And I'm like, well, I don't get it. I'm sure it makes sense on some levels, but I don't understand that. Just go to your local television station or your cable network and play the game, and people can sit there. So that's not going to happen. What is going to happen is a bit of a pep rally. I think it's going to be sometime next week. They're going to have a pep rally. They're going to have, you know, Bengal greats from the past, current players and music and all kind of stuff. Bootsy might be there. I didn't hear that. I'm just throwing it out there because it seems like he's everywhere with the Bengals these days, and it should be a lot of fun. So that's as good as it's going to get. But that's cool because that means you can go out to your favorite watering hole or sports bar and enjoy the game if you want that kind of atmosphere and still have fun with it. I appreciate Alicia Reese and the other people from the city and county even trying to make it happen. And, you can only do so much. If the NFL says no, the NFL says no. But again, I still don't understand it. But I guess it's just not for me to understand. It is what it is. So I'm just reporting to you, what's going to happen. And that's what it is. I'm curious, is anybody in this audience planning on going to the Super Bowl? Have you made your plans already? I just really want to know. I like to know. Lynn writes, we are cooler. Absolutely. Gladys writes, 6 p.m. My radio was always on box. Learned a lot from the show. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And you still don't have that in the city. You still don't have that in the city where you have two black hosts. Both of them are articulate about sports. One of them, at least, was a former Bengal player, so you got that insight. You still don't have that in the city of Cincinnati. You still don't have that because nowadays people are just going to the digital route. They're just doing their own things. And I don't know. I'll reach out to Box if they ever want to do something. I'll do everything I could to make that happen for sure. Sarah writes, I want the Bengals to design a helmet that's black with orange stripes. Correctamundo. I want the same thing. That'll be so dope. That'll be so dope. Or white, all white with the orange, but I want the black. I want the all black with the orange stripes. That's what I want. And maybe it's got the white, I don't know, feathering or something like to it. That'd be super dope. And they can do it. The Steelers got yellow helmets. They got all kind of helmets, old school helmets. They got all kind of helmets out here. The Bengals can do it too one day, and let's see what happens. They might do it. Let me see. A lot of people saying good things about the Primetime Sports Show. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Neil writes, great segment, Nate. Nice hearing Box talk about old times. Oh, man, it was just a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with those brothers. And, you're arguing back and forth about sports. And it was never too serious. It was always just about the love of the game. And they literally, man, would leave the studio every day laughing. Literally. Just laughing as they leave the studio. You got maybe a 2 or 3 minute transition between when their show ended and my show began. And so they're laughing, we chuckling and whatever, having a good time. And then me and Mr. Lamont will get things started. Shout out to Mr. Lamont, man. Speaking of old days, I mean, just some of the producers, man, I learned a lot, learned a whole lot, and just got some really good creative relationships and partnerships. And Mr. Lamont with that night show, man, we had a great time. We had a great time, and we just pushed the boundaries. We pushed the boundaries. And did the same thing with the real Terrence Howard. Same thing, when you get two creative people working in the same and moving in the same direction, you can create a lot of good things. So, like I said, I got nothing but fond memories. Joe writes, don't forget Hugh Jackson went with the Raiders, then got fired as a winner. Did he? He got fired as a winner? I didn't remember that. That show, as Nathan said, was a precursor to the podcast world. It was. Absolutely. Most definitely. Rachel writes, NFL owners will not allow a majority black-owned team because they are scared all the players going to want to play for that black-owned team. And see, you might be right about that, Rachel, on some levels. But hopefully the public pressure about this discrimination lawsuit, and then you got these teams where the ownership is trying to make them lose so they can get a high draft pick. Hopefully they can parlay that into leverage and then you also got to have a minority black-owned group that can actually come up with $4.5 billion. So that's number one. But hopefully that leverage can make something like that happen, open the door and open people's eyes. I don't understand why not. And you can't tell me that you can't put together a group of, you got people out there that can put together enough money to make something like that happen. Absolutely. It may be 10, 15, 20 of them, right? It could be a lot, but they can definitely get some folks together to make that happen. Absolutely. And that's where the pressure needs to be. That's why yesterday I asked, is it time to stop supporting the NFL until the NFL changes? And the number one change is we need some diversity in the ownership. You know what I'm saying? That's what the NFL needs. But again, I know nobody wants to stop watching the NFL right now because you want to see your home team, the Bengals, win, right? We can have this conversation the day after on that Monday when CPS is closed. We can talk about it then, and we'll see. We'll see. Let me see. Jack writes, it's a business move you're not aware of. Simple as that. What is? What is exactly? Less TVs playing, it's less money. Less TVs playing. Dare writes, Nate, not knocking the idea, but do people really want to watch the game in cold, freezing weather? Just ask me, because that's the counter argument I've seen on social media. Well, Alex Triantafulu, who is the Hamilton County chairman of the Republican Party, I saw he tweeted that. He was like, do people really want to do that? He was like, people want to enjoy this at home. And I get it. I understand it. I can definitely see it. Okay, well, what's the second? But there are some people that would want to do that. You know, sit in the stadium and watch it up there, and maybe you're dancing around with other people. Or maybe you're at the they've got rooms, they've got a space indoors where they have parties and stuff. I've been there before. So maybe they can do it there or something like that. But I agree with you. I mean, some people just want to be at home and laying on their own couch or wherever the hell they watch their game, their own sports media room or whatever, the man cave, and watch it there in the comfort of your own home. Then you can really enjoy it. I get it. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivey. This is your West Side Connection, Drop Squad 52, and the home of Super Bowl 56. Even though I'm a few miles from Los Angeles, but how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How many miles are you from Los Angeles?
About 30 miles.
About 30 miles? Okay. That's not too far.
Yeah. So I'm sure everybody knows if you're coming out here for the game, you better bring your money. I'm just saying, California
I was hoping to stay with you.
No, I only got 870 square feet, Mr. Ivey. I ain't got enough room for.
We can make it work, brother. Damn.
Nah, you know you bring in your family.
Yeah, just be me. Just me. I'm just gonna come out by myself. The wife is gonna allow me to do that. I'll stay with you, and then drive over to the game and tailgate all night.
Oh, I mean, you could do it. It actually is when they've had large events in LA. Like, remember when the Lakers were like winning championship? People used to rent their homes out here in Orange County, and people would commute back to the game.
You could do that.
Because it's very expensive to stay in Los Angeles County.
You ever thought about doing
it's
that,
even more. Doing what?
Renting out like an Airbnb, renting out your space so people can make a little money.
Nah, not yet. Maybe in about 10 years when I'll be able to tap into my equity, because technically I'm a millionaire right now, Mr. Ivey. Technically.
What?
Yeah. Equity in my home, which is right now about $300,000. Then my 401k account, which is well over $400,000, and then I got my pension, which if it goes to my life expectancy, it adds up, and then other things that I have, it puts me right at about $1 million.
What's that feel like? You're retired, you got $1 million in equity, what's that feel like?
Well, it feels like mission accomplished, because I had all this planned out. I started planning this 10 years before I actually retired. So, and because again, I used to listen to the radio talk show people, Susie Orman, Clark Howard. I mean, you can go down the line. Back then, they were all on the radio talking about money, investing. And the key thing is sacrifice and delayed gratification. So I'm almost at that point to where all my chips will be, I'll cash all in, and then I can go do whatever I want to do. Like what you were talking about, buying property and stuff like that.
I love hearing it, brother. I love hearing it.
Yeah, but all I got to say, Nate, I'm just the average American black man in this country who worked for the government, saved my money responsibly. I was married once, didn't work out, got one child, and and I always tell people, you can do it, but you got to be able to do those two things, which is to sacrifice and to delay gratification. Because in this country, there's so many things that you could spend your money on instead of saving it and investing it. So, but Mr. Ivey, I got a take on the whole Hugh Jackson thing because it's been 24 hours.
Okay.
Now, Angela Rye, a well-noted and very, very easy on the eyes, she is now a special correspondent for ESPN. And she was on yesterday morning when Coach Flores made his first round. He's been all over everywhere. This morning, he was on Morning Joe. So Keyshawn asked Angela Rye a question because she was going straight from the legal angle. And he said, well, since there's no money at stake, it's basically if he wins, he's not going to be able to benefit because he'll probably never coach. And she said, oh, yes, there is. There is a monetary settlement involved. So more than likely, because he's making all these rounds on the media with his two white, let me say that again, his two white lawyers. And there was another report that's out because yesterday you mentioned that the word was Colin Kaepernick got $10 million. When I heard that, Nate, and then listening to Brian Flores and Angela Rye saying that there's money involved, I went back and listened to some of the stories about Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reed when they sued the NFL for collusion, and they ended up settling out of court. I heard from a guy who was he had connections. He said that the estimate was 60 to 80 million. Now, again, nobody knows for sure, but that 10 million, nah, that don't sound right. That, to me, for an NFL football player, that's not enough to keep quiet. But if you look at back then, how much the average salary of a starting quarterback was, that 60 to 80 million makes sense. So what I'm thinking, Mr. Ivey, Brian Flores is going to settle. He's going to get his money. He may do speaking. He's not a very good speaker, but who knows what his future holds. But as far as the owners, Mr. Ivey, if you remember the head coach for the Los Angeles Clippers, Donald Sterling, he got caught saying some racist stuff to his girlfriend, and the NBA owners all got together and got rid of his ass. He got paid, but they got rid of him, and they brought in the white computer guy. I can't think of his name, but they brought him in. So the NFL, if they truly wanted to bring in black ownership, like you said, a conglomerate, they will have to actively recruit a black group to take over a team. Other than that, it ain't going to happen.
They should.
That's just my...
And that's what I would like them to do. I want them to actively look for and recruit a black-owned group to take over. And you know what? There's a benefit for the NFL because if I remember correctly, when they got rid of, what was it, Sunderland, the former owner of the Clippers.
Oh, Donald Sterling.
Sorry, Sutherland. Donald Sterling. When they got rid of him, the value of all of the NBA teams went up because I think it was like a record amount of money that they sold the Clippers for. And so the same thing could happen with the value of the NFL as well, right?
Exactly.
Like
right.
Every time the team is sold, if it sells for like an outrageous amount of money, it just raises the value of all the other teams. So, let's see what happens.
Right. And one last thing, the catch to that, because you know how people are, Nate, people got money. If they do bring in a group, that group of black people, they got to be willing to pay that top dollar, like you said. They can't be saying, oh, y'all charging us double because we black. Nah, if you want to get in the game, you got to pay the price to get in the game because they've kept you out all this time. Because they got the one token down in Jacksonville. So they let him in. They kept
Khan.
Yes, they kept other perspective because there's been other black investors that wanted to get in, but they said nah. Maybe that was Jay-Z's future plans. This was his way to get in, and maybe they'll go to him because we haven't heard him say anything yet on this Brian Flores thing.
We haven't.
So and then Angela Rye said, "Oh yeah, the only time they agree with black people," she's talking about the NFL, is if they running the ball or doing a halftime show. So anyway, thanks for taking my call, Mr. Ivey. And again, who day? Go Bengals. Peace out, bro.
All right, peace out. Appreciate you. Drop. Said he in equity's worth $1 million. I love hearing that. That is beautiful, man. That's a beautiful thing. All right, one last thing before we roll out of here. And I've yet to talk about this directly, but we have talked about, normalizing conversations about mental health, because you can't judge a book by its cover. You got some people out there that's performing every single day and they got real issues. Are you hip to this story about this young woman right here? Her name is Chesley Christ, 30 years old. Big time resume, multiple degrees, licensed to practice law in 2 states. She was an active. She was a TV host, former Miss America. She won back in 2019, and she was currently a reporter. And she committed suicide recently. As I understand it, she jumped from like the 27th floor, something terrible. So you can only imagine what that looked like. She jumped to her death from an apartment building in Manhattan. You can only imagine what the aftermath of that looked like. Beautiful sister. Look at her. And the whole world, people who knew her are like, they're just stunned. But I saw an article this morning from Yahoo News. Her mother says that her daughter was suffering from high-functioning depression. High-functioning depression. So you can't judge a book by its cover. You got some folks out there that are performing every single day. They're doing their job every single day. From the outside looking in, everything is perfect, it's wonderful. And they are depressed. They are circling the drain. They were circling the drain. You have no idea just how. And I believe that depression is way more widespread, especially now with COVID and everything related with COVID. It's way more widespread now than ever before, in my opinion. Way more. It's real out here, man. So I don't have any details. I'm just here to say that check on your peoples in them. Just because somebody's posting all these great things on social media does not mean that's how they really feel. And degrees and a job and money and fabulous apartments don't mean nothing when you're dealing with mental health. It means nothing. It means nothing. You have no idea. And again, I'll say it again. I think depression is far, far, far undiagnosed. You got people out there that have been dealing with depression and they're self-medicating using food, using drugs, using sex, using all kind of things to cope. And they just don't know what's really going on. So don't be shy about talking with somebody. These days you can do it virtually from your own home. If you got the money and or the insurance to do so, do it. Take care. Normalize taking a mental health day. You know what I'm saying? If you need it, take it. Because again, from the outside looking in, I went to her Instagram. From the outside looking in, sis got it going on. Everything's perfect. Everything wonderful. Everything is wonderful. Multiple degrees, looking good, former Miss USA, and jumped, I think it was the 27th floor. You can only imagine, again, what that's like. So this is a very, very sad story. And when I saw her mother posted that, said she was high-functioning depression, I thought, see, it's a lot of people like that. It's a lot of people that's in front of you every single day. You have no idea. They're circling the drain. They're circling the drain. They're trying to get through the next moment. It's very, very sad, but take care of yourself, friends. That's all I can say. And your family. Before we roll out, I just want to remind you that today's show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Renew Community Church. They do a Sunday morning masterclass every Sunday at 11:45 a.m. You can tap in on YouTube at Renew Community Church live stream. And you can also tap in on Facebook, facebook.com/CINCI Renew. If you're interested, you can download a free ebook and sign up for personal and or business coaching. Just visit their website, www.renewcommunitychurch.org. And this Sunday's topic, Bengals win. So when will you start winning for you? You can tap into it this Sunday. Thank you for being here, friends. I'll be back and hopefully better than ever tomorrow morning, bright and early at 8 a.m. We'll chop it up on people, politics, and pleasure. You never know who we'll be talking to or what we'll be talking about, but you can bet that it'll be interesting. It'll be worth your time. So have an excellent rest of your day. Remember, winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. So stay focused and stay winning, and we'll talk real soon. Until next time, I'm out.
Yeah. Talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a that's what they don't understand.
I'm back again like flu season. I broke records while loose leafing. I'm coming down my roof, leaving. Don't give a I don't care. Did the for my lonesome. No wonder now I'm on one. No shortcuts on that long run. All I really want is my share. Get on my God, on my totem is nothing. In the discussion, all them feelings I throw all my pain on percussion. The disgusting. I hear them bragging about that they did, and it do not move me, not in the least. They ain't been dropping no seeds in the soil, but swear that you almost spotted the feast. I've been on go mode, showboat, rowboat, wave ride. Cool shorty, too naughty, pool party, wet for the face ride. Annie up, penny down, hand me down, thrift store, old drip. New money, too funny, old shorty talking about old. I'm on they now, can't get a pass now. I'm a cash cow, keeping it brash now. It's trash now, I'm a spaz out. I've been killing my lows and living on highs. You see in the skies the proof. You could just see in my eyes that there is no lies. I cannot disguise the truth. I've been duck dog, getting to my new merch, color duck sauce on the new couch with my chucks on. Get the on with that hate. I'm big cool on the small chat, cause I know now that I'm all that. Got a hawk guy on the ball cat, get the out of my face.
Talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a that's what they don't understand.